shortest month, I always seem to overcommit myself in the month of February in terms of reading and also doing things, because I'm like, it's February half term, I'll get loads done. No, Katrina, no, you won't. You'll be ill and then you'll just need to recuperate and then it's time to go back to school again. Welcome to my February wrap up. Welcome back, or if you are new here, welcome. My name is Katrina and I make bookish content here on this channel every week and then movie reviews here at the weekend. In the description box below, you will find all of my social links, including my blog and my Goodreads, where I have actually posted reviews of a couple of the books that I'm going to talk about, and I have reviews coming up of a couple more of them as well. So February was an audiobook only month for me. I didn't end up chilling out on my Saturday morning, reading a physical book, reading an ebook. It was audiobooks only, and I think maybe that's why I got through slightly less, because I didn't have those like cozy mornings in the house with my coffee reading my book. So yes. Let's talk about the audiobooks that I did read. Firstly, I have a physical copy of this one because it was sent to me, and it was it being sent to me that it prompted me to borrow the audiobook from my library. And this one is The House That Made Us by Alice Kavanagh. Now, full disclosure here, I was excited to read this book. My lovely friend Hayley read it and raved about it. I think that this was not the best on audiobook, just because I was slightly confused by what was going on. I don't often say that about a book because I'm a big champion of audiobooks. Yes, an audiobook is reading, but I struggled to realize what timeline was going on, and it was only really in the last sort of 20% of the book that I felt like I really knew what was happening and was connected with the characters and was connected with their lives and who the various characters were. So it was a little bit of a struggle, but when I connected, I was like, oh, this all makes sense now. I understand what's going on. So I think maybe if I'd read the physical copy or read an ebook version of this one, I would have connected a little bit earlier and been more into the book. I persisted with it, and I'm glad that I did because I really understood what was going on in the last 20%, sorry. But yes, so this is A House is More Than Just a Home. It is a lifetime of memories. When newlyweds Mac and Marie move into a home of their very own, the new build's garden is bare and the paint is still wet on the front door. They take a photo on the doorstep, the beginning of an annual tradition that will go into an album charting their 50-year love story. So I knew that, but it was then where we were jumping back and forth between the years that I got a little bit confused. Things change around Mac and Marie. The garden matures, fashions come and go, wrinkles arrive, but the one constant is their love. Now their album of memories belongs to someone else, a person who doesn't know them. As she flicks through the pages, watching their lives from the past unfold, will the truth of Mac and Marie's story finally be told? And with the fact that it's the person that doesn't know them, there's a bit of a reveal there. So it is quite, it's a well-written book, definitely. But I just struggled to connect with it a little bit. And I think if I kind of read through and seen kind of what era we were in the physical book, that might have been better. Or maybe it was one of those that I needed to read alongside the physical book. Then we have one of my favourite authors that I was excited to read, and this one I do definitely have a review of on my blog already, so you can go and see my written review if that's more your thing. And this one is The Only Suspect by Louise Candlish. Again, being a Louise Candlish novel, there are thousands of reveals along the way. You never know who to trust, and I was upstairs here listening to the audiobook of this one, I think while cleaning the bathroom or something, and there was a big reveal and I was like, oh my god, whoa. And genuinely Ollie was like, what's wrong, what's happened? But I was like, it's just the book, it's very exciting. There was a whole twist that I didn't see coming. There was a whole don't trust anyone moment. So no, going into this one, don't trust anyone. I mean, I should have known going into a Louise Candlish anyway. don't trust anyone. But she writes a wonderful thriller. And this one was really interesting because it was a kind of throwback. Some of it was set in the 90s. And so it just gave me like the Caitlin Moran How to Build a Girl novel vibes in the 90s section, but with kind of less trust and a bit more grittiness. But yes, I enjoyed this one, and the audiobook was well narrated as well. Then we have one that I've literally just finished. We have Afterglow by Phil Stamper, which is the sequel to The Golden Boys that came out this time last year. As you can see from the mortarboards on the cover, this one is the Golden Boys group, graduating high school and kind of making decisions about what's next for them. I always like the kind of end of high school transition to college or other plans kind of YA, because I think that is not talked about enough. I work where, you know, I'm transitioning from primary school to secondary school, and it's a big transition, but this is a huge transition, but there's a lot of the same emotions and things that go into that, and so I think that's why I always relate to these books that have that transition in them. And it was nice to kind of catch up with the boys again. I think I maybe would have liked a bit of a, like, more of an introduction back to the boys, the Golden Boys, and kind of who they are and what made them tick. 'Cause it did take me a little while to remember what the deal was with each of them. But I think that means that you could read this book as a standalone, because it's not like, oh, here's this boy and this is what he did in the last book. It's just like, okay, here are these characters and this is what they're doing now. It also deals really well with the whole thing that's going on in the US at the minute, where school systems are having to pull books from their shelves and have the books approved, and literally have lists of books that can't be on their shelves, or lists of books that have to be approved before they can be on your shelves, which is absolutely ridiculous. And I'm glad that this book deals with that, and it deals with it really well. And then one of the first books that I finished in the in the month of March, was Someone Else's Shoes by Jojo Moyes. I absolutely loved this one. On the whole, I love a Jojo Moyes novel, but there have been a couple that I found harder to get through than others. This one is just one of my absolute favourites. I just thought it was amazing. Two women, two lives, one day that changes everything. Basically, what happens when you end up having to wear someone else's shoes? How does it affect your life? And boy, does it affect these women's lives so dramatically. And you do kind of go through the book going, well, when they eventually get their own shoes back, is that just not going to be like the end of the novel kind of thing? And you kind of, as a reader, you almost worry, like, where is this going? What's going to happen? But when these two women do eventually meet, I feel like that's when the story really gets ramped up and really gets going. And I love the fact that we get this kind of connection between them. It was just so easy to listen to and exciting to get back to. And I just feel like it's one of those books that would just suit anyone reading it. I feel like there'd be something for anyone in here. It was just really, really good storytelling, good issues dealt with. Just really, well, what would happen if that big change came in your life all of a sudden? It was just, yeah, really interesting, really good. One that I'm not going to talk about a whole load, because I have a book versus movie of this one coming your way. So this one is Women Talking by Miriam. Now, I think it's Towers. I did hear her talking on the audiobook about this one. She does like a little author's introduction, but I still didn't pay attention to how to pronounce her name, which is really bad. But obviously, the film of this one has been nominated for Best Picture, and so even before I knew that, I knew I wanted to read the book before seeing the film, but I have subsequently watched the film. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss out on my Oscars prediction fun and games that I'm always so bad at every year. But I enjoyed listening to the audiobook of this one, and I'm excited for you to see my book versus movie video on this one as well. But yes, this is very much book club fiction, but I will say that the audiobook was fairly short and I listened to it all in one sitting, so there you go. And then finally, I had a review copy of the audiobook of this one, and this was one of my sort of most anticipated debuts of the year. I do have my most anticipated books of the year video coming your way very soon. I'm fully aware that I haven't put that out to you yet. It is coming, and I know it's late, but I still wanted to put it out to you. So finally, we have The Garnet Girls, which I think was the one I finished right before Afterglow. So this one is Georgina Moore. It literally follows the Garnet Girls, who are a family, multiple generations, 3 daughters, 1 mother. One of the daughters has some daughters of her own. So when it says the Garnet Girls, this is what this book is about. I would say, again, this is more kind of like your book club fiction. It's a little bit more out of my comfort zone because it's a bit more kind of saga-y, and there's a lot of things going on with these women. It's one of those where the audiobook was really well narrated, but I sometimes struggled to place who was who within the family. And I thought the kind of darkness of it surprised me a little bit. So I did enjoy it, but it was very different from what I expected. But I'm glad that I listened to it. And there you have it. There are the books that I read in the month of February. As I say, I've already got a review of definitely The Garnet Girls and The Only Suspect on my blog, but I feel like I may already have a review of The House That Made Us by Alice Kavanagh, and I definitely have a Jojo Moyes review coming your way very soon. So those will be linked in the description box below. Please do let me know in comments what you read in the month of February. It being the shortest month, did you get much reading done, or were you like me and kind of fell short of your goals? I still read more than a book a week, so I'm happy with that. If you enjoyed this video, do give it a thumbs up. Make sure you are subscribed and hit that notification bell so that A, you don't miss my book versus movie video for women talking, but B, you don't miss out on the rest of my bookish videos coming your way very soon. And yes, I will see you very soon with that next video. Thanks for watching.